Do you know the 14 traits of successful chiropractors? We've interviewed some of the top chiropractors in the industry and have identified the common traits that they all share. Jump on over to www.chirobusinessmojo.com to get your free report today.
Welcome to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast, where we deconstruct the methods, marketing, and mindset of successful business people and chiropractors from around the world. And now your host, Dr. Richard Day.
Hello, I am Dr. Richard Day, and this is the Chiro Business Mojo podcast. Thanks so much for spending some of your valuable time with me here today. Let's get into part 2 of our interview with Dr. Eric Plasker. That is huge, and that's something that's absolutely going on right now that is different now than it was 10 years ago, whether it's podcasts, ebooks, YouTube videos, or DVDs, whatever it is. It's easier than ever for us to get our message out there and do it in a way that can be shared easily.
Yeah, and it's important that we not be a bunch of clowns about it, though, too. We need to really be relevant. We need to make sure that it's not about us, that it's very people-centered, that it's speaking to people's core values, that it's addressing issues that are real in the mind of the public. I think that's one of the things, like we just put out an article that's on 100yearlifestyle.com. It's also on all our affiliate sites. It's part of the content marketing system. It's called Success and Stress in School. It's relevant. It talks about the spine and the nervous system and how it affects the brain, and how it can affect kids and help them learn if there's communication in the nervous system. And that's why chiropractic care can be so valuable for kids. It speaks to people's core values. It's relevant. People are sharing it. They're talking about it. They're buzzing about it. We did one on just going kind of on a different end of the spectrum. We did one on CrossFitters and chiropractic. We did one on extreme sports. We did one on peripheral the epidemic of neurological disorders. And it talks about autism, and it talks about Alzheimer's and all these neurological challenges that we're having, and how chiropractic care plays a role in that. So it speaks directly to the people. So make sure when you do your pre-day one education that you do not make it all about you, but you make it about something that is relevant to the public that you're trying to reach.
Well, we have covered a lot of ground so far. Let's really boil it down to the basics. If you had one single piece of advice or a series of action steps for the new doc, what would that be? And then let's also do the same thing for the experienced doc who's maybe stuck and looking for a new direction.
Okay, for a new doc, get a system and implement it. Don't try to create everything. You're wasting time trying to be a writer, a web designer, a PowerPoint creator, a video creator, a chiropractic assistant, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Get a system, put it in place, and be the doctor and get people under care. Keep your focus on that, building your business, getting people under lifetime care if that's important to you, or whatever care is important to you, and delegate the rest to other resources. You'll save so much money in the long run, and your production will go up dramatically much quicker. For an existing doctor, if you're stuck, it's time to recommit. You are not stuck because the world doesn't want you. You're stuck because you haven't recommitted, and you need to recommit. The other thing for an existing doctor, because the world has changed, really take a look at your packaging. There are so many of us out there in the world that our packaging is so outdated. And if we're out of date, according to Reader's Digest, who did an article just recently on is your doctor out of date? If you're out of date, you're irrelevant. And one of the issues that we have, if we've been in practice for a while, is that we think that people don't want chiropractic anymore, but that's not true. It's just that, in fact, they want it more than ever. It's just that they don't want it in the packaging the way that we've created our packaging. So if you change your package, you change the value. It's kind of like the Let It Be by the Beatles was the #1 hit in America in 1970 as a record. And in 2011, it was also a top hit, but it was a download. Nobody wanted the record. Everybody wanted the download, even though it was the same song. So don't misinterpret that people don't want you. That's not true. They do want you more than ever. You just need to package yourself up in a way that it speaks to the people today.
Yeah, if I could chime in a little bit on that note, I'll tell you a lot of the new docs that are coming out and opening up are putting a lot of modern design touches in their interior finish of their office. And I'll go into an established doc who's been around 10 or 12 years and they're doing okay, but it looks like I stepped back in time to about 10 or 12 years ago when I go in there. So, maybe the message is on point, but literally the packaging, the interior of the office is in need of a facelift.
It is. And again, when you change the package, you change the value. So some of you out there, you're whittling down your fees because you think that that's the only way to get people to come in and to stay. And that's not true. When you change it, you're whittling down your fees because people are not wanting the package that you're offering. I got an inbox this morning from a doctor who, very insurance heavy practice, stuck in that model after his third Medicare audit, became an affiliate and started implementing the lifetime patient system. He's only 3 months into it, and he's grown from 300 visits a week to 400 visits a week. His collections are skyrocketing, and he sent me an inbox just this morning. He said, "You know what, Dr. P, I had 2 people yesterday that I thought were in the past would have disappeared into inactive file land, and they committed to lifestyle care." That was just yesterday. And he's doing it every day now. So instead of losing people, you're retaining people because they're committed to this bigger vision. He didn't have that package before. So the people didn't even know it was an option, or the option wasn't appealing in the way it was being presented. You change your package, more people will want it.
Well, I want to shift right now and take a step back and talk about not just success in chiropractic, but the bigger picture of success in life. So have you had a failure or a challenge or obstacle that you've overcome? Because I know most of us have. We learn a lot from our successes, but even more from our failures. What did you learn? How did you overcome it?
It's a great question. And I don't know that I would use the word failure. I would use the word challenges for me. A lot of challenges, Rich, humbled up in so many ways. And it started at a young age. When my oldest son, when he was a baby, he had an accident that he fell off the bed and it landed on his head and it paralyzed him. And we were told by the experts that he would never walk, never talk, and never use his arm. I was a young chiropractor. I was married for about 1.5 years, and my wife and I were devastated. And I learned in that moment that the experts don't know crap sometimes, and that what we believe as chiropractors and the way we look at the body and the way we look at human beings and human potential is more important than you and I could ever imagine. I adjusted Jacob in the hospital with them threatening to throw me in jail, I might add. And within 20 minutes, this baby that they said would never walk, talk, or use his arm woke up, his breathing stabilized, and he began to move. 3 days later, he was sitting. 7 days later, standing. By his 12th-month birthday, he was walking with a limp. 13 months, he was running. And then when we brought him back for a 6-month checkup, and he ran into the office, and they couldn't believe it. They asked me to make a presentation to their whole neurological department because they couldn't believe these results. So I did, and it really made me mad after that, after my presentation and how good he was doing, where the doctor, he was like, "Very nice presentation, Dr. Plasker, but he'll never ride a bike." And it literally, Rich, it took every ounce of my energy to not strangle this guy. And it made me realize that, you know what, I got to block out the world. Sometimes you need to block out the world. Stop looking for acceptance. Trust yourself. Trust the principle that we have, and go to work and do your thing. And so, I mean, that was a challenge that was a huge wake-up call for me as a chiropractor as to the importance of what we're doing. And now that little baby graduated last couple of months ago from Chiropractic College. He's 27 years old and practicing right now in Portland. And he's an amazing chiropractor, and I love him dearly. And my wife and I, 29 years being married, so proud that all 3 of our kids are now in, the other 2 are in chiropractic school at Life University, Emily in 10th quarter, Corey in 3rd quarter. And, looking back on a lot of the challenges, the opening multiple businesses creates all kinds of challenges. But I think that one thing that has worked for me is that even through the challenges, Rich, is to trust myself. and trust the vision of lifetime care and not compromise it. And there were times when, and you know this if you have a family and anybody, when you have kids, you never know if you're doing the right thing. You hope in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years that you're going to get the evidence that, oh my God, thank God I didn't screw them up,
Yeah, that's the truth.
And now that my kids are older and they still love me and my wife and they still come for dinner and we've been successful in business, I'm so glad that we never quit, that we stayed true to what we always dreamed about and wanted, and even through the challenges, that we just stuck it out. And so stick it out and stay true.
Well, that's great advice, and thanks for sharing such a personal story about your son. Let's talk a little bit about success. It means so many different things to different people. When you think of the word successful, who do you think of and why?
Interesting question. I have an interesting answer. When I think of success, for me personally, I don't think of a person. I think of the vision. For me, success is about accomplishing this vision of lifetime care for everyone. I do believe that the world is ready for what you and I have to offer as chiropractors. When I wake up in the morning and I pray about the vision, my vision, and the world and what I'd like to see for humanity, I think about a world where people are expressing their full potential from the time they're born through their last breath of life, where chiropractors are leading healthcare in the world with our vitalistic principle at the core of healthcare. I think about and pray about and work towards a world where people are lining up for chiropractic care the way they used to line up for flu shots and vaccinations and antibiotics, where chiropractic care is the norm for every man, woman, and child. And so to me, that's success for me personally. So I work towards that creatively, structurally, educationally, business-wise. What's it going to take? There's a lot of elements to that. So I don't know if it's the answer that you're looking for, but it certainly is an answer that for me in my heart and soul is meaningful. And if you're a chiropractor and you share that common vision, then we should probably have a conversation and talk and meet up at a seminar or through our affiliate program, our lifetime patient system, because it's a world that is in desperate need of new healthcare leadership, new leadership in general. The people want what we have desperately. They just don't know what we do because of the crap box that I mentioned earlier and the mishmash of confusion. And so I do believe it's our time. And I'm excited about the opportunity that's ahead.
Well, do you have any daily rituals? You mentioned prayer. Do you have affirmations, a workout routine? What do you do every day to help you be more successful?
Well, to start out, I am definitely a purpose-driven guy. So my purpose leads me. My purpose has evolved. There are some people, the core value of it has stayed true, just like for most of you, it's probably stayed true. Don't wait for perfection to commit to even what you think it might be, because you're probably right. So that's number one. When I wake up in the morning, I'm an early riser. I like getting up early, and I make my wife coffee in the morning. We both enjoy a cup of coffee to start our day. And then I have in our family eating area, it's a nice little sunroom where I spread out my calendar, my book, my goals, the things that are important to me in that moment, and I connect with all the things that are priorities. I put on some classical music very softly, and I just immerse myself in the things that matter to me. I usually spend probably an hour and a half on that, and then I'll go for a walk, get a workout in. If it's a workout day, 4 days a week to 5 days a week, or I'll take the day off, or I'll go in to the office and do what I need to do there, or hit the road like I do where I see many of you that may be listening to this in seminars all over the country and all over the world. So it's a routine that works for me. I like starting my day with the things that matter most. I get more done by 8 o'clock in the morning than a lot of people get done in a day. And I could pass the hat to my team, or I can free myself up to just talk to our people or to make an impact with the vision in the world.
Well, do you have a favorite book you'd like to share or recommend with Mojo Nation?
Sure. Love Good to Great. Jim Collins' series of books, actually, Good to Great, Great by Choice, Built to Last. Great books. Love them. We have organized a lot of what we do in the family practice, from the business system to the messaging, around the principles of Good to Great. So I love that book. Those are great books. And why don't we start there?
All right.
And, of course, the 100-Year Lifestyle second edition. If you haven't read it, get it. You'll like it a lot, and so will your patients.
We've got to mention that one, right? Well, I will put a link to that one and to your other recommendations and everything we've talked about so far in our show notes page. What's the best business advice you've ever received?
Great question. One of the best pieces of advice happened after a challenge, when a mentor of mine said to me these three very powerful words when I was playing the role of the ultimate victim. He said to me, "Eric, get over it." I love that. Changed my life. Then I read a quote by Warren Buffett when they asked him about adversity. How do you overcome adversity? And he said, "Successful people never suck their thumb." I love that. And so great business advice. The other thing that I would say is that, and I love the quote by Steve Jobs before he passed. He said, "At Apple, we work very, 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 very hard to make things very, 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 very simple." And I love that. And I think that's been another core value for the family practices. We work very, very, very hard to make things very, very, very simple for the doctor and staff. And then the third thing is keep your focus.
Boy, also true. You know, working with the public, because in my prior life before a chiropractor, I wore many different hats. All of them, though, were dealing with the public in one way or another. And keeping a simple message that you can deliver simply is so true. And I mean, apples are easy to use. They always work. They're relatively simple. They're intuitive. And what great advice to make sure that that's how we're approaching our practice and our lives.
Awesome.
Well, let's say you wake up tomorrow, you do your routines and meditations and prayers and affirmations, and it's sitting in your living room is a time machine. You get in it, and you emerge 10 years in the future. What does chiropractic look like 10 years from now?
Chiropractors are leading healthcare in the world, not by becoming medical people, but by literally changing the conversation and the paradigm of the planet, where people are lining up for chiropractic care the way they used to line up for all those other things that we talked about earlier. That chiropractors have 2 and 3 and 4 doctors working with them in their offices, usually one lead doctor. The chiropractic colleges are filled with people that are learning this vitalistic understanding of what we do about the body's self-healing, self-regulating capabilities. The colleges are thriving. We're a wealthy profession. We're contributing in the world. We're making and contributing to health policy in cities and states and countries. And I'm looking forward to that day. And I'm also looking forward to the journey. I do believe, Rich, in our lifetime that we have a great opportunity. I do believe that the powers that be, that it is collapsing. It's just so big we wouldn't know what it would look like. But the people, they want what we have. They just need to know that we're an option. So step it up, chiropractors. Come on. Let's go to work.
Well, what's the best way for people to contact you and find out more about you and what you do?
Easy to find. Google me. Go to thefamilypractice.net, www.thefamilypractice.net. There are different ways to contact me through the website, or call the office here, 866-532-3327. We're very hands-on, like I said, a purpose-driven guy, purpose-driven organization, and we're having more fun than ever because we're doing the best work we've ever done. And so I'm just honored. You know, I appreciate people like you stepping up as leaders, contributing your voice. I mean, for me, it's been 30 years. I see so many people that have come and gone over the years where they dabble in leadership and then they disappear in a year or 2 or 3 because their product ran its course or whatever. I appreciate people like you that are putting your voice out there, that are taking that risk and that really care about the people of our profession. So I appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you so much. Dr. Eric Plasker, thank you for your time and sharing your wisdom and your vision of chiropractic with our listeners.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast at www.chirobusinessmojo.com.